where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. The scores on the doors are 102 to Sim, 109 to me. And the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. We start off with the teams, the league's entertainers in Brentford, 3-2 to Brentford against Bournemouth. And Sim went for 2-2. I went for 1-1. And what a topsy-turvy game this was. And we seem to be saying this every week
honestly,
with Brentford. I mean, it's unbelievable how they keep coming back. Well, either they keep coming back or they just bottle a lead. I mean, it's either one or the other. I always thought this was going to be an interesting game because Brentford got the best home form in the league, and Bournemouth, I think they've been really poor in terms of results away from home this season. So it's not that surprising that Brentford got the 3 points, but on the back of, you know, the Man City win and the Arsenal win, I was expecting a bit more from Bournemouth, albeit they did get 2 goals, but it's that formidable attack, isn't it? With Johan Wissa and Brian and Mbeumo. I mean, I can't remember the stat, but they've contributed to so many goals and assists since Ivan Toney's gone.
Yeah, so they've got 5 wins and 1 draw at home this season in 6 games. It's mad. They're second in the league for goals scored and they're third bottom for goals conceded. Yeah. So at the moment, Brentford are very, very open. But yeah, what an unbelievable game of football this was. At the beginning of the game, Evan Nilsson latches onto a weak back pass from I think Vandenberg, the Brentford defender. They go 1-0 up, then Brentford turn it around. They turn it,
straight away 10 minutes later.
Yeah, Wissa scores. Then Justin Cliver puts Bournemouth 2-1 up, and then it was just such a topsy-turvy game. Bournemouth will be really disappointed though that having got themselves in a winning position twice, they ended up losing the game 3-2, albeit. Yeah, as you say, they hit them back twice very quickly. They actually equalised within a minute in the second one with Mountain Damsgaard.
And then 8 minutes later, they're ahead.
And then Wissa obviously gives them the win. And now they're up to 11th in the table. Bournemouth in 12th, so very, very tight between those two. Obviously, it was a real mid-table battle. But Bournemouth will just be really disappointed. The goals they conceded, especially Damsgaard's goal, the keeper has to be saving that. I think, was it Keppering goal? He has to be saving that at the near post. But Wissa, what a start to the season he's had. How many goals is that now for Wissa this season?
I think it's 6.
'Cause he got injured as well, and now he's come back and he's straight back on it as well. He is so underrated, isn't he? So quick in behind. And when he gets to those positions, he is quite clinical, isn't he?
Yeah, he's class.
Good, really, really good player. A lot of people talking about Mbeumo, but 7 goals for him this season.
Now?
7 goals and 1 assist for Johan Wissa this season. He just consistently gets goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's class.
Ever since he's come into the Prem.
I think he's got a goal contribution in every game bar 2 that he's played this season, which is an unbelievable return. So, I mean, Thomas Frank's doing such a great job at Brentford, you know. I think you even tipped them to fight relegation this season. They look like a far cry from that, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. They're 9 points clear.
Yeah, so well done to Thomas Frank and to Brentford this
Not missing
weekend.
Tony at all, are they?
Nah, not at all. Crystal Palace lost again at home, 2-0 to Fulham. Both of us you went for a draw, I went for a Palace win. But again, another manager who's doing an unbelievable job this season. You know, you're talking about Brentford losing Ivan Toney. Fulham lost João Palhinha, and it hasn't affected them whatsoever. We were all expecting it to affect them massively. Raul Jimenez has come into his own this season. Emil Smith-Rowe looks like an unbelievable signing. And Alex Iwobi and Adama Traore are chipping in really well this season as well. 2-0 away at Palace. Smith-Rowe on the score sheet again. And, I mean, the Fulham train keeps rolling.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think in the first half, Palace did have a few chances. Mateta had one cleared off the line, and Fulham as well had a few chances in that first half, and it was quite an even game. But Palace will be annoyed that they didn't get a goal at least in that first half. But Fulham really turned it on in that second half. Brilliant goal from Emil Smith-Rowe, and then Kamada gets sent off with a horrible challenge, stud showing, and then it was game over at that point, and they went on to score a second and third. Wilson, he did get a third, but was ruled out. But Harry Wilson, what a week he's had. 2 goals off the bench against Brentford, came on and scored again, and he had a third goal ruled out as well. So it was nearly 4 goals in 2 games for him, which is incredible. And Marco Silva is really getting a consistent tune out of Fulham at the moment, up in 7th, 18 points, only 1 point behind the top 3. I mean, look, the league is so tight. A lot of teams can say that, but just as you say, they lost Paulinho, but the signings of Smith Rowe and even Reece Nelson's been a great signing as well for them, and Sander Berge. in centre mid.
Sander Berge is brilliant.
Brilliant recruitment from Fulham, and they've really filled the gaps really effectively, spent the money really wisely that they got from João Paulinho. And fair play to Marco Silva, going from strength to strength. And Raul Jimenez has seemed to have found his old form back as well.
Yeah.
And look, an on-form Raul Jimenez is a quality striker. We saw that at Wolves, and maybe it's taken him this long, but he seems to be getting back to his best now, Jimenez, as well. So fair play to him, and brilliant win. But Palace, after beating Spurs, is another 2 games out of win.
Yeah, I think Spurs is our only win of the season, and I envisage something similar with Ipswich as well. But you got to give credit to Marco Silva, the way he's not galvanised, but in terms of the way he's managing this team, absolutely brilliant stuff. And they seem to be winning. I think they hadn't won in the last 2-3 weeks, Fulham, or no, they beat 3-2. But apart from before that, I think they went 3 games winless. But yeah, he keeps batting down all the critics. Fulham, they're sitting in 7th spot now, 1 point behind Chelsea in 3rd.
But I feel like with Palace as well, they're really missing Eze Morton because they got bad injuries just after Spurs, and they haven't been quite. They're such big players for them. I think they were playing like an 18-year-old at centre mid, and it's just, replacing him, Eze with him, and it wasn't going to be successful. And they need Eze's magic if they're going to have a chance to stay up.
Yeah. Harry Wilson as well, 3 goals in 10 minutes for him.
What a man.
West Ham 0, Everton 0 in a really dire game of football. Both of us went for West Ham wins here. We thought he had to get a win just before the international break to save his job. But do you think he will get sacked? I mean, Jordan Pickford made a number of great saves.
He did. I watched the game, and it was a terrible game, I have to say. Especially the first half, West Ham were terrible. Really offered very, very little. If anything, Everton should have been in that lead in the first half. Yeah. They were the ones making all the running. And West Ham just looked sluggish. They looked slow. But just like has so often happened in the last few weeks for West Ham, they did step up a bit in the second half. And I think definitely when they brought on Danny Ings, he made a big difference, Danny Ings. And he was getting a lot more joy than Mikel Antonio up front. He nearly scored with a goal that deflected right in the last minute, and Pickford with a brilliant tip over, which saved Everton a point. And actually, they probably had the better of it in that second half, West Ham, to be fair to them. But still, wasn't convincing at all. Still very sluggish. Still didn't create too many clear-cut opportunities. And Everton were a side who seemed, by the end of it, happy for a point. But I thought Everton definitely had the better of the first half. Everton had the better of the second half. A draw, probably a fair result, but it just wasn't a great game of football. Yeah, at the end of the day.
And the manager, West Ham manager, he keeps trying new things and different things game on game to try find like the kind of best way to combat things, and just nothing seems to work, does it?
Yeah, and there were loud boos at half time. I think the point will just about keep him in a job, albeit it'll be a long international break for him for sure. Maybe he'll turn his phone on Do Not Disturb if I was him. But I think he'll just about save it. But I mean, I don't know how long for. Is it a stay of execution, or is it something to build on? I think it's probably the former.
Yeah, you just never know, do you, though? Like,
next game was St James's Park, and then they got Arsenal.
Oh, really?
Next 2 games. They need to get at least something out of one of those games.
Yeah. Next game is Wolves against Southampton, which gave Wolves their first win of the season. 2-0 at home. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 3-1. So close to that 5 point to Sim. Because I thought Wolves were going to get that 3rd goal because, 2-0 by the 51st minute with Cunha. Cunha's having a brilliant season, by the way.
What a goal.
The radar. Yeah, unbelievable.
What a goal he scored.
I captained on an FPL this week. Southampton, poor performance from them, but I mean, I think everyone fully expected Wolves on the back of the last 2 performances that Wolves have put in. I think everyone kind of fully expected Wolves to get the 3 points this week. Yeah,
it's a perfect game for Wolves. The way they set up 3 at the back, play counter-attacking, the way Southampton always don't change their principles. It was going to be the perfect game, and they got 1-0 up within a minute. Cunha playing at Sarabia, and bam, it's 1-0. The game did turn a bit on the one moment of VAR goal ruled out for Southampton because they equalised quite quickly, and there was their left back who scored it, and the VAR gets involved and gives a foul from Semedo, and the Southampton players are very incensed at that foul, and they think that VAR shouldn't go involved. And looking at it back, I mean, it's harsh. I do think it's probably a foul on Semedo, to be honest, in my opinion. But again, it's just one of those where I don't know if it's clear and obvious error. I don't know if VAR should be getting involved in that. And Southampton, I think feel the right to be aggrieved. And then Cunha seals it with an unbelievable goal. Brilliant win, much needed win for Wolves. I don't think a win at home to Southampton is going to change much for them unless they can build on it. But it's something that needed to happen to make sure that Gary Neal stays in the job for now.
Yeah, I think it was very important for them to get the 3 points because Southampton were the team that was very close to them. But you look at their next few games, they got Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, 3 massive games. And I think they can pick up points in those games. I think with Bournemouth at home, I think they can definitely get something from that. Fulham away will be very difficult. Everton away is going to be a bit like a 6-pointer. So I do think there's life in there for Gary O'Neill still. I think he's a good manager.
Big weeks ahead.
Next up is Brighton against Manchester City. I went for 2-2. You went for 3-2 to City, but Brighton did win the game to heap more praise and more misery onto Manchester City. I think it's an uncharted territory now for Pep Guardiola. 4 losses in a row. I don't think he's ever been in that situation before. And, you know, the game started, and I think Man City started the game really well. Erling Haaland gets on the score sheet, and you're thinking, oh, Man City are back. And I thought Brighton were just a bit abject, playing within themselves a bit in that first half. But, you know, change at half-time. Brighton did start the second half really well. And then the big changes happened when O'Reilly and João Pedro come on. And João Pedro, goal and assist. O'Reilly gets, with his first game for Brighton, gets on the score sheet. And I think Brighton played an unbelievable period in that second half.
They did, and I think it was one of those where it looked like it was going to be one of those games where Brighton just give a good account of themselves but come unstuck. But once that goal went in, it was coming, that goal at the time when they scored it with João Pedro, and you just had that feeling with the pressure they were putting on City. If they got 1 goal, they could maybe get 2 quick goals, and that's exactly what happened with 2 goals in 5 minutes. They were 1-0 down going into just before the last 10 minutes. They scored their first one on 78, and an unbelievable turnaround for them, and showed what a great footballing side there are. Matoma was giving Walker all sorts of trouble down the left-hand side. What I like about this Brighton team is they do have a lot of depth when it comes to the attacking options. They got, started with Welbeck. They could bring on João Pedro. They had Matoma. They could bring on Gruder. They had Rutter. They could bring on. They've got so many players they can bring on from an offensive point of view. In Ciso, they can bring on people like that. So they've got a lot of options in the forward line. So that, it keeps you on your toes, and especially with City struggling at the moment with a lot of injuries, it kind of felt like they didn't have too many options to change it, to come on and change the game. And it also seems like they have Haaland at the moment, who's obviously always good for a goal, but if he's not scoring, you're looking around their team, you do wonder where the goals are coming from. Now, to caveat that, De Bruyne is just coming back, Doku's just coming back, Grealish is still out. So they do have players, not necessarily goal scorers, but players who can maybe chip in a bit. So they need to come back for sure, and especially De Bruyne is a massive one. They're really missing him in a moment. But while they're out, now with Alvarez gone, there's just not too many goal scorers in that team. Gavardio scores from defence, but you can't rely on him to score. It's a difficult one. Savinho needs to start chipping in with goals, I feel. Matthias Nunes is not really a left winger. He's filling in at the moment there. And, there's no one you're confident when they're going for on goal. If it's not Haaland, you're not really confident they're going to bury it. And they did miss a few chances. I think Haaland himself missed a few chances. They just looked tired. And I thought, first off, they did look good. But once Brighton took control, Man City didn't really have an answer to it. They couldn't really change things to change the game.
It was a bit similar to the Spurs game with Brighton, where they were pretty poor. They go down in the first half, albeit it wasn't 2-0 this time, it was only 1-0. And then really good tactical changes from Hertzler in the second half to swing the game in their advantage. And João Pedro, I think that was his first game back, played the last half an hour, 25 minutes, goal and an assist, and that's going to bring up something extra in the bowls for Hertzler as well. So a great addition for them.
Yeah, but Man City, 4 losses in a row, 5 points behind.
How many in the Premier League is it?
2 in the Prem, 5 points behind Liverpool now. They're still 4 points clear of Chelsea and Arsenal, who are 3rd and 4th, and Forest and Brighton, who are all now level on points. So from their point of view, I guess it's not crisis yet, because they're still within touching distance of Liverpool. But if that gap gets any further, I mean, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, but you don't back anyone else more than Manchester City to kind of back down that gap.
Correct. But no Rodri. difficult.
I think they're going to go big in January.
They should.
For CDM. I think they're going. There's rumours about Zubimendi or something, 50 million release clause.
Anyone.
The Zubimendi would be unbelievable.
If Pep is such a great manager, they can just get someone who can fill that role, even if it's like, not the best of the best, but someone who he can mould, even as a younger player. That will just up their game a lot more because they don't have a DM at the moment.
Yeah.
They're really struggling with it.
Kovacic there and
he's more of a box to box. Yeah.
Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Liverpool seem to be the only team in the league really with any sort of consistency. Aston Villa, really poor performance now for 2 weeks in a row at 2 tough away grounds in Tottenham and Liverpool. But I thought Liverpool won the game. I don't think they were incredible, but they got the job done. They were very hard to beat. Goals from Darwin Núñez. I think you saw the best and the worst from Darwin Núñez in this game. And Mohamed Salah, with 5 minutes to go to seal off the game. I mean, Salah's just a freak in nature. He really is. Yeah,
it was a very tactical game, I felt. Liverpool very much only really creating opportunities when Villa went forward and on breakaways. And that's pretty much how they got both their goals. And when Villa did, the only time, the coincidence is the only time Villa looked threatening was from their set pieces. And, Keller did have to make a few saves from set pieces, which is obviously where they got their goal last week against Spurs. But apart from that, Villa didn't really threaten too much.
Yeah.
But then Liverpool only really threatened when they were breaking from a Villa set piece. So it was a kind of give and take in that way. Villa didn't really impress me at all, really. I thought, yes, they had a foothold in the game, but they never really looked threatening apart from corners. And Liverpool didn't have to be at their best to win the game. And when you're beating a team like Villa not at your best, that's a very good sign for them.
How often are we saying that about Liverpool this season, though?
Brighton last week as well.
They keep getting the points,
but will it catch up with them, or will we see them at their best at some point? That's always the question.
I do think you will see bumps in the road.
I'm sure you will, but I think people are discounting Liverpool too easily because when you think about it, first of all, they've got title winners in that team: Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, Robertson. These players who know what it's like. Alisson, I know he's injured at the moment, but he's also a part of the squad. These are players who have been there and won the title for them. Was Luis Diaz in that squad potentially? Maybe not. But still, they've got title winners in that squad. And also, people talk about when new managers comes in, it's a rebuild, but Slot hasn't had to rebuild.
He didn't make a signing.
Exactly, because Klopp did all the rebuilding and he left him with a rebuild already completed. So he actually hasn't come into this job cold. Like, let's say, for example, Ange had to rip everything up and change it all. Slot hasn't had to do that because that rebuild happened just before he came, and he was and Klopp left the club in a good situation. So the rebuild's kind of already happened, and yes, they're changing the way they're playing. I'm sure there will be during the season some adjustment period, but who's to say they can't go and win the league just because it's Slot's first season with the players they have?
I think they can do it. I mean,
and you're 9 points clear now of Arsenal. I know Arsenal played a lot of hard away games, but still, that's a big gap. That is a big gap.
I mean, I'm looking at the gap between them and Man City, and it is only 5 points. In this stage of the season, 5 points really isn't much. Liverpool lose one game, Man City win one game. All of a sudden, that gap is like neck and neck. So
they've got City coming up.
Yeah, massive game in 2 games' time is so Man City's next 2 games are Tottenham and Liverpool. So I think Man City will be back at it very soon. I don't think this run is going to last for much longer.
I think they need to make sure that they're still in it by January.
Yeah,
I think it could be difficult between now and January, though, for them.
I'm not so sure, because I think if City do what City do every year and just go on a mad winning run from January onwards, then even if it's like 8 or 9 points, I think that's bridgeable.
They need to make sure that is the gap.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it can be more than 8 or 9? It's 5 now.
Depends. They could lose to Liverpool, and then all of a sudden it's 8 points already.
Yeah. I think they draw. I think that game's a draw.
They could lose to us.
Yeah, they could.
They could. You know what I mean?
Look, 100%. But I still think, because of what City show every single year in the second half,
they've had
of the
Rodri
season,
every year.
Yeah, that's true. But I firmly
He's
believe
so important.
They're going to bring a CDM in the.
They have to do it. So that's what I'm saying. They have to make sure they're still in it by January. That's what I'm saying. They have to make sure the gap's not too big. Because I do think that gap could grow between now and January. They just got to make sure they win enough games to make sure they're still kind of in touching distance.
Is the game at Anfield or is it at Etihad?
I think it's at Anfield. It is at Anfield.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a draw, that game.
So if that'll be a good result for City, if they can just make sure Liverpool don't increase that lead.
Yeah. Next up is Manchester United, Leicester, 3-0 to Man United. Ruud van Nistelrooy probably get the job. He's done a good job so far. We both went for 3-1. I didn't see much of this game, but I saw Garnacho's goal, which was a really good goal. Fernandes as well, suddenly come alive since Ten Hag has left the club. But yeah, good 3 points for United. Yeah,
standard 3 points. What I would say is Leicester will feel really unfortunate they didn't get a goal, because they did create a number of chances in this game, and they'll be really disappointed they didn't at least get one goal to get back in the game, because they should have. I think it was Ndidi who went through on goal, and he missed a really presentable opportunity. They had a few of them missing good chances, so they'll be disappointed. But Man United, it was just a game where their quality told. I don't think it was a great performance, but when you got Bruno there, he could always come up with moments for you, and that's exactly what happened. So, solid win.
Next up is Nottingham Forest against Newcastle. And finally, Forest lose a game at home against Newcastle. I went for 2-1, so I gain a point here, and Sim went for 1-1. And, Murillo puts them 1-0 up early doors after the first 20 minutes. And you're thinking, bloody hell, is Forest ever going to stop winning? But brilliant second half performance from Newcastle, scoring 3 goals in that second half gives them, I think it was a deserved win.
Yeah, really impressive. Difficult game away at Forest, especially with Newcastle not having the best of season so far. But going 1-0 down, you're thinking are Forest going to carry on that brilliant form they've been on. But Newcastle got back in the game quite quickly with Isaac, and then 2 brilliant goals from Barnes and Joe Linton, giving them the win. And really solid to make sure that they had the quality to break down what is a very stubborn Forest defence. That's been the key for Forest this season, to making sure that they're so high up in the table, is that defence. And to score 3 goals against them away from home is very impressive, albeit I think Forest are a bit better away from home than they are at home.
Yeah.
But very good result for Newcastle, and they showed that they got the quality to outdo this Forest side. And I wonder if we'll start to see the drop-off from Forest now. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, in terms of Forest away from home and at home, away from home, they're the second best team in the league. At home, they're sitting in 13th. So I think that tells you the story. Spurs 1, Ipswich 2. Sim went for 4-1. I went for 4-0. So a lot of egg on our face for this one. But deserved a win for Ipswich. They played us off the park at times. First half, they go in 2-0 up, and we just couldn't claw it back. We got a goal back. With about 20 minutes, half an hour, or 35 minutes to go. I can't remember the exact time of the game. And we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net after that. I thought Spurs were pretty toothless. Yeah,
it's a terrible result for Tottenham. And look, it was another case of Tottenham failing to capitalise on opportunities. And look, and if you keep getting these kind of results, people are not going to take you seriously. And I can understand why, at the moment, a lot of people are writing Tottenham off, because you're losing at home to second of the bottom of the league, Ipswich, who haven't won a game all season. And it's a shocking result, especially after it looked like we turned a corner against City and Villa, and we looked like maybe we'd learned some harsh lessons where we did against Brighton and Palace, but it seems like we've still got a hell of a lot more learning to do, because this result was probably the worst of the lot. Really, really poor, and really shocking result. And the fact we only scored from a set piece as well, couldn't. Solanke, Son, Johnson couldn't affect the game. Really, really poor, really embarrassing, really, I think is the right word. And Johnson pulling out challenges for that first goal, cowardly. The second goal, just terrible goal conceded from a counter-attack when we should have equalised just before that. And as much as we rallied in the second half, it was nowhere near enough to get back in the game, and Ipswich got a deserved victory, and a massive blow for Spurs.
Yeah, definitely the worst defeat in Ange Postecoglou's tenure so far, that's for sure. And last but not least, Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1 in the London derby at Stamford Bridge. Sim went for 2-2, so he gains a point. I went for 1-1, so a big fat 5-pointer to extend the lead this weekend. And look, I think it was, two teams at quite a similar level in this game. I thought Arsenal, it says here they created 4 big chances to Chelsea's 1 big chance. But I thought in the first half, probably Chelsea were creating the better of the chances than Arsenal. Arsenal go 1-0 up. From Martinelli with half an hour to go, and you're thinking Arsenal are going to nick an away win here, like they have done so many times. But up steps Pedro Neto with 20 minutes to go, only 10 minutes after Martinelli scores, which may be showing a little bit of the soft underbelly that Arsenal have showed in previous weeks, but a brilliant finish from Neto.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Martin Odegaard definitely was a welcome return for Arsenal, because he looked looked like he hadn't been away. He was putting a really strong display. It was a really good assist for Martinelli's goal. Well, I have to say, though, Sanchez has to be saving that. Martinelli goal. He leaves way too big of a gap. The angle was so tight. I don't think Martinelli can get it into the far post. So all he has to do is cover that near post. And I think he has it covered. And it's terrible keeping for me from Sanchez for that first goal, albeit a great assist for Odegaard. But I do think Chelsea I think it was an even game. I think Chelsea probably will feel like they deserve the point out of it. Gusto missing that really big chance at the beginning of the game. Palmer, the early parts of the game, was looking bright as well. Arsenal, though, they did have some late in the game, some big chances to win it. Neto with a brilliant goal, and then Moreno has a big chance to make it 2-1. And then right at the end, oh my word, Havertz will be absolutely having sleepless nights about that Trossard touch that just takes it away from him. It wasn't. I think it was onside on both accounts.
Was it?
I think it would have been a goal. From what I can see.
So Arteta dropped down to the floor at that moment.
Yeah, and what a chance. Last kick, that was literally, he blew the whistle as soon as after that happened. Yeah. Last kick of the game, ball across the face of goal from Saliba, and all Trossard has to do is just leave it for Havertz to tap in. Doesn't do it, and there's a missed chance. So big missed opportunity for Arsenal to get 3 points at that moment. Look, on the face of it, a 1-1 draw away at Chelsea is not the worst result, but the fact of the matter is it leaves them 9 points behind Liverpool. And for whatever they want to say about, Liverpool are not as good as City, they're 9 points behind them. And Liverpool have more title winners in their team than you do in yours. And Liverpool, they have a very good team. And you can't just discount them just because last couple of seasons you finished above them. That's no excuse. And 9 points is a big gap. It's a 3-game swing. You have to, you've already played them at home and they couldn't win them. They couldn't win the game. They drew 2-2. So it's a big gap, and that involves Liverpool collapsing a bit and Arsenal going on a really strong winning run. And those are two big asks at this point.
Yeah, it's true. But having said that, we've seen that Arsenal in top form are capable of going on those runs. We saw that last season. I think second half of the season they pretty much matched City apart from the Villa game. And Liverpool, we're kind of going into the unknown. They've had a brilliant start under Arne Slot, but we don't know what bumps in the road are going to come for them. So I wouldn't completely discount it, but right now with the way the two teams are playing, it's hard to see it.
It's not. At the end of the day, it's 9 points. And
at this stage of the season, 9 points is not so much.
It's a lot. You're on 10 games. I'm not saying it's not catch-upable, but you can't give a team a 9-point head start.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
regardless of the fixtures you've had,
I think Liverpool still got those hard away fixtures to go. So,
but Liverpool, they've gone to Emirates and got a draw. They've beaten Leverkusen 3-0. They went to 4-0. They went to San Siro and they won. They won against AC Milan, a team who beat Real Madrid. They beat them comfortably. They've beaten Chelsea already 2-1 this season. They've beaten Aston Villa just now 2-0 as well. So it's not like they've had easy games. They've had tough games, and
the majority of games you're talking about are in Europe, not in the Premier League.
Not majority, just Milan and Leverkusen.
Well, who are the other games you said? Chelsea,
Anfield. They played.
Chelsea and Emirates.
They played Chelsea. They battered United at Old Trafford. They've played Emirates 2-2. So played Brighton at home 1-2-1. Arsenal didn't win that game, and they played Brighton at home. They beat Brighton as well. So it's not like these guys have had easy games, is it?
But I mean, you're looking at Arsenal's fixtures, and they've literally played all the top 6 away from home apart from Liverpool.
Yeah, but they dropped points to Newcastle, they dropped points to Bournemouth, they dropped points to Brighton. So these are, as much as they got good results at Spurs and Villa, they didn't get good results at Bournemouth and Newcastle, cancel each other out.
As Man City have dropped points in the same games.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Liverpool here. Yeah. I'm saying Liverpool have had a lot of tests thrown at them. They're coming away from that.
Yeah, but it's still early days in Arne Slot's tenure. You never know what's around the corner. The Premier League is a very, very intense and unpredictable league this season. So 9 points at 11 games gone, I don't think it's insurmountable. As much as I want to say it, and I'm laughing at every Arsenal fan at the moment because they haven't won a game in over a month at this moment in time. So obviously, if those results keep carrying on and they fall even further behind, it will become insurmountable. But at this moment in time, I don't think it is.
I think they've got to be careful because if that gap grows, they could find themselves out of the race very soon.
If the gap grows, 100%.
It could easily grow.
100%. And I hope it does.
I think it can.
I hope it does.
4 games out of win for Arsenal. Wow.
Yeah, over a month.
Over a month. 4 games. Wow.
In terms of the form table in the Premier League, I think they're sitting in 16th. So Arsenal are firmly in the mud. But I do feel like Arsenal's performances over the last couple of games have got a little bit better.
A bit, nothing
little
too
bit.
incredible, but yeah, a bit better.
Star men. I think we can just breeze past these two. Bloody hell. Sim went for Brennan Johnson.
Thank God you got Solanke over me.
I went for Dom Solanke.
Both missed chance. I mean, Solanke had his goal ruled out from VAR, and Johnson had that chance right at the
We
beginning of the game.
literally buskied Spurs so hard this
Yeah, I
weekend
know, it's
with
our
Star
fault.
men 4-1, 4-0. Oh my days.
Deary me. Deary me.
But yeah, we finished this weekend before the international break. 118 points to me, 105 points for Sim. And I want to thank you all for watching.